arrangement. And so I said that, and they said, okay, the one that we can still have will take place in LA, Los Angeles. So I went to see, my best friend went with me, and that's the only way I would have left my house. And the man's name that I negotiated with the interviewing itself was Chris Castle, which seems to be one of those extra ones that was made. I think the original was made by Nolan, and I thought I was dealing with these people, but I'm far gone. And a lot of people older than I am is really fit, and then they can deal with all kinds of technical information. I have no idea. I'm just, here I am, and I'm just half gone type of a person. Anyway, Chris Castle was a very intelligent and reasonable guy. So I was glad I went. But I noticed that unlike other, media the interviews I dealt with, there was no makeup person who, powder my nose or anything. You were just pushed in, and then I was interviewed, and it went on a couple of hours, but I think that they had enough things to pick out. And they wanted two photographs for me, one sitting in the dome, that stands now. You can't even go inside. But for several years after the war, we could go in and out. Nobody knew what was happening in Hiroshima. And I used to really, really feel I had very serious thoughts being in there. So my picture sitting inside the dome looks sort of, forlorn. That picture and a picture of my class before we were, went all over because the air raid was so serious and everybody knew kids can't be in the city, and we were evacuated. And so it was a class picture before we were evacuated. Mm-hmm. And it has my best friend who was sitting in the front row, just I was sitting. And to look at it, it really makes me very sad. The people I loved were taken away from me, including my best friend. And the stupid thing I did was my best friend and I insisted for our parents to come and get us out of this stupid country that was so miserable. There was nothing to be learning. We were put to work that's beyond our physical capability. And we were so hungry. But both of us came from a fairly, well-heeled family. They knew how to get food. So we knew if we went home, there was food, And so we pushed our parents, let's go. They came August 5th, okay, in the evening. And then they wanted to stay there for a couple of days. And my best friend and I said, oh, no, we can't stand this stupid place. Take us away. Oh, we got to go home. In the evening of August 5th, we were home. Just the happiest person. Oh, finally, we're home. Now we don't have to worry about anything. Guess what? Next morning, everybody died.
Wow. So your parents took you home to Hiroshima?
Yes. That's what we wanted them to do. We got to go home. Oh, no, let us just stay. And, what are you talking about? And we just told our parents to take us home early that morning. So we got home on the evening of August 5th.
Yeah. So do you have any idea how much of your testimony will be used in the film?
I have no idea. And then with I'm sure half of my brain is already gone, which include immediate memory. I have no recollection of what I told them.
Uh-huh. Well, listen,
Sure.
maybe we can hear more from you later on, I think, in the agenda, but now let's move on if we could. I
Yeah,
see
I
that-
can tell you two things I try to do. One is that if I brought some kind of a my own, I have stuff I really want to say plenty about Manhattan Project and that sort of things, ideological or historical kind of things. And I thought, however, but in order to appeal to public attention and alertness that this is a serious thing that everybody has to be thinking about, and don't think, oh, it was a long time ago, that was a beautiful bomb that killed the Japs. But anyway, I wanted them to show what I thought, were my experiences as a survivor, because that's not something that the people come along and says, oh, no, that's not true. I would have thought this or that. No, that cannot be contested. And NBC putting something, I thought, will really reach national audience,
Yes.
Good or bad. Now
Yeah.
to find out, you tell me there were several versions, so I don't know what this thing is going to do. Anyway, the way I am, I just talk what I believe that come out of my head and out of my heart. So it was probably not all that intelligent.
Well, I'm sure it was intelligent. I'm just worried that they will, cut it down, but I'm.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they did because
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
But they have those photographs. It has to say something about now,
yeah,
you pay attention to this.
yeah.
So I'm glad I made a fool of myself or whatever I did, but they seem to be very pleased.
Uh-huh.
And they keep on sending thank you notes saying that they will be eternally grateful to
Wow.
me.
Uh-huh.
Well,
I never
yes.
had anybody talk to me like that.
Okay,
Eternally
we will
grateful. Give me a
definitely
break. Yeah.
tune in when you will let us know when it's going to be broadcast. That will be so exciting.
Yeah,
Okay,
but you seem to know more about it than I do.
well, we want to see how they cut your interview.
We'll
Okay, you-
we'll keep an eye on this. Now we know the gentleman, the director. We know it's going to be streamed on Peacock, and
Yeah,
then we may have to pay for that. And so I sent you all the link to the director's little
Yeah.
paragraphs about it. So we'll make sure we don't miss it. Thank you very much, Hideko.
Well,
We
thank you
should.
very much.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you. Wonderful.
yes,
Okay, Nancy Price, you're next for 2 minutes.
We haven't finished check-in, have we?
Haven't
This-
what?
This is check-in.
Oh, okay, one.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute? Okay, 1 minute check-in.
Yes, hi, this is Nancy Price in Davis, California. I meet up with the Sacramento branch and let's see. I'm just busy on various projects and I guess that's all I'll say at the minute. I'll contribute later when we have when I can report about No to NATO. Thank you.
Okay, great. Pam Richard, you're next.
She's not here.
Well, I
She's-
think she is.
She's frozen.
She's
But
not
you-
on video and she's also muted.
Oh. what
Oh.
happened?
Oops.
Oh,
Okay.
do someone else.
Well,
She was frozen. I think she was on her way out.
uh-huh.
Or
Okay, Joan Goddard, you're next.
hi, everybody. I'm in the San Jose, California branch and had a 2-hour session of 3 different segments with family members from Hawaii, Samoa, American Samoa, and Wisconsin and Virginia and so on. So I'm still eating my lunch. I'm going to just be my name for a while. Anyway, it's great to see you all. Thank you. There's Pam back. It's Pam's turn.
Pam, where is she? There she is. Okay, want to go, Pam?
Well, I got back 2 days ago from a week in Washington, DC of meetings for the Alliance for Nuclear Accountability. So I know it's on later. And I'll give a little report about that. Other than that, I'm here with my friend Ruth. And here she is.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and she's listening in with me. And
Oh.
yeah, I don't really have too much else. I'll just save my time for the report.
Okay, welcome. Is it Rose? Is your friend?
No, Ruth.
Ruth, okay. Welcome, Ruth. Yeah, okay, Diane Blaze, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I have David Rovix from Portland, Oregon, staying with me. I don't know if you know, he's a folk singer, he's a singer. And so I was just at a concert of his and I came back for this. Anyway, so it's interesting. Different things are happening. They're having stuff at George Mason tomorrow with him.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. You're hosting him. Eileen, how are you doing?
I'm doing much better. I spent 2.5 months breaking down a 16-room house and to help a friend who has pretty bad Parkinson's, and now it's on the market and people are coming in and it's really excited. I have a feeling she's going to get a good price and she deserves it.
Wow.
The other thing is that we had a successful Earth Day event in my little town or city of Newton. Although it was pouring rain most of the day, we had a lot of traffic come in, and I got 90 signatures for TPNW. Ellen must have received them in the mail by now. And we were pushing and talking a lot about PFAS. So, people are going to also get more of that information at a big event this coming Saturday as well. Jamaica Plain has an even bigger event. It attracts close to 5,000 people. So I hope to get another 200 TPNW SIGs and a lot more PFAS notices out. And maybe some of the new information on the autonomous issues that I'll be reporting on later.
Great. Okay. Thank you. So Ellen, are you feeling better now? Ellen?
Yes, I'm sorry that I came in late. I actually started it at 7 o'clock, but I didn't realize that I had my my sound off, so I didn't hear you all get started. So yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing fine. And there's a lot going on in my life right now. One thing that I'd like to report on is last weekend I went to Lake Kiowee, where the Oconee nuclear plants are that are downstream from the Jocassee Dam. And I was there with members of WILPF and also the Sierra Club and Nuclear Watch South, strategizing, and we had a meeting with a representative from the NRC and Duke Energy and at the plant, and it was civil, but they just really don't tell you anything. And so they were strategizing about how to get NRC to force Duke Energy to pay more attention to the dangers of what would happen if there were a break in the dam, the Jocassee Dam. And there's supposed to be a 19-foot high wall around these nuclear plants, and it's 4 feet high. So they're trying to get that fixed. And it was very interesting. It was an interesting experience, and I'm working on a video to put it up and let everybody know about it when I'm done.
Interesting. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Gloria, you're next there. How are you doing?
There, I had to unmute. I'm fine. And it's the usual stuff with me going after the culture beat. And we have our CAB updates, which is kind of strange and interesting. I won't go into it until a later moment. I also have cartoons and the essay versions of the one-sided rape narrative adaptations of language, which we are presenting in Brighton, UK. But I'm also writing and have a new title and cartoon to go with the more, general audience. And I'm going to, if I can do share screen, I'll show you the cartoon. So that's what's new with me.
So you're speaking later as well? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, under the ongoing campaigns, I'm number 4.
Wonderful. Okay.
I
Yeah.
just want to make an announcement. There's 15 of us and we've spent 30 minutes on this so far. We do need to pick up the pace.
Okay. Very good. Philip, there's only 1 or 2 left and you're one of them. How are you doing?
Well, doing great, and a bit dismayed at the latest conflict in Sudan, has broken out. And it only made me think of a friend of mine who is from Sudan. And after one of the conflicts in the last about 15, 20 years ago, he ended up in the United States as a refugee, and he is stateless. So sometimes these refugees from these conflicts end up without any nation of their own. End up in the United States with the status of stateless, which is a bit bewildering to an American like myself, not really understanding how that can happen. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Margaret, down there in Tucson.
Everything is nice here today. The weather is still bearable, and I'm sorry we were having technical difficulties at the end, so it took me a while to get contacted in. But I hope that, and so I missed so much of what Hideko said. I'm so sorry. But I hope that we get a transcript and a copy later, because I did write down some notes about the eternally grateful, because I said that's just what you said on today, which is a very important day. Anyway, it's the day Adolf Hitler died in 1945. So that's one of the reasons I remembered it. But anyway, I'm so glad that you were able to do something that counters all of that stuff today. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Okay, Martha Spees up there in Maine, I think, right?
Yes, up here in Maine. I checked in already in the chat. Thank you.
Oh, you did? Oh, all right. So I think that covers everyone. So now all we need to
Did we get Martha? Martha Speaks.
Yeah, that's who I just called on.
I'm sorry. Beg your pardon.
Yeah. All right. So approval of the Disarm Committee minutes of the 9th April. That was just 2 weeks ago.
They're fine.
Anyone have a problem with those minutes? I thought they were good. It was written down Burlington annual meeting. It wasn't an annual meeting. It was just a monthly meeting, but don't bother making a fuss about it. Okay, do we accept?
Sorry, I think, but your WILPF gathering, isn't that an annual meeting?
Yeah, but I believe you said that our meeting in last month was an annual meeting, and that was not an annual meeting. Like I say, no big deal. So do we accept the minutes?
Accept.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Or does anyone not accept? All right, here we go. So we're already on the hot topics, and we're allocated 10 minutes. And the Ukraine, have you signed the letter to the 3 presidents to stop the war? And Cheryl will speak and others perhaps for 5 minutes. So let's
Right.
Gregor
So
could
please,
time that
yeah.
for 5 minutes.
Well,
Right, so
I need to clarify. We've got 10 minutes for everything up until 5. That's a lot.
No. It's 10 minutes for 4A and 4B.
Got it. Okay, got it.
So maybe we can go faster. So the point about this letter to the 3 presidents, we're very close to the 10,000 signatures. There's many organizations asking their members through other websites to sign this petition to the 3 presidents. And so if you haven't yet, And you don't have to be a member of WILF. You could forward the URL to your friends, because the other thing we're doing is collecting money, and we're actually over the $10,000 we were after, which is Roots Action and all these other organizations. And so we will be putting an ad in the Hill, which is the newspaper read by Congress people, because they're the ones who have actually got their hands on the purse strings. So that's going well. But in the meantime, another message letter has come out, and it's in the agenda specifically to Blinken, specifically about we really need to, not stay in this war. This war needs to come to an end, and because of all the trouble with nuclear weapons. So there's in the agenda, it's a Google Doc, and at the bottom you can sign it. Would you please always, when you sign these things and they ask for an organization, please sign yourself as a WILF US member, so we get credit for what we're doing, because I tell the Peace in Ukraine people, and it was in the e-news, right? E-news goes to every one of our 1,200 paid up members. And so I was claiming that, we'd have a good turnout. So I don't want to be proven wrong.
Okay.
So please, if you haven't signed there's 2 now to sign. And please put WILF US as your organization, so that we can show that we really are working on this. We are a big organization compared to the other 90 of the other organizations. They only have, they're a small village somewhere that has an anti-war group, with 10 people. So we have 1,200, so we need to make a good showing. So that's what I want to say about that. Anybody else comment on these 2 letters?
Well, I did the first one. I'll do the second one.
The second one only just came up,
I gave
so please.
a donation to the first one. So.
Donations, even $5 will help, because if we over 10,000, we can find another newspaper to put it in, right? It'll be a big one-page thing. So then let me go to 4B, which Martha kindly arranged that we were able to watch the Atom, a Love Affair. Martha, would you like to? I unfortunately had to miss it because I was at my physics meeting. But Martha, would you like to say something about how that went? You have to unmute, Martha.
I'm not really prepared to right now. I'm sorry. I have my head in a different place. Diane, do you have anything to add? Ellen? I thought it was a really good program. We did have, I forget how many people we had. I think 19 or 20. And there were a lot of interesting questions or comments at the end. And we did have a physicist, Alfred Mayer, who also joined us at the end and had some interesting things to say. Diane?
I thought it was well received, and I thought it was very interesting and a good documentary.
And I believe that the discussion has been recorded and is on the WILF US YouTube channel. So if maybe Ellen could put in a link in the chat, so those of you who missed it, including myself, could at least watch the chat. You can no longer watch the film. That was an arrangement Martha made, and her organization's going to be charged for a bunch of us watching it. So, but if you want to hear the discussion that happened afterwards, we're allowed to post that.
I had a problem with the sound, and eventually I put earphones in, and that helped. But there were some of it was good, some of it wasn't so good. Okay, Martha, you have your hand up.
Yes. Do you know if that link and the discussion was actually shared with the filmmaker, because she specifically came back and asked if she?
Yes, I sent it to her. I sent it to her.
Thank you.
A couple of days after she asked for it.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Okay, I think then we're moving on to McGregor reporting on the modernizing the ICBMs.
Yes, this program was part of, I don't know if you're aware, but March, like, it's the End Military Spending Worldwide, GDAMS, Global Day Against Military Spending. So this program was called, had Jackie Cabasso, Christian Sorensen, and Cynthia Papermaster, and it was emceed by me. And I don't really know how it went. People tell me it went well. I've not yet seen it because I collapsed after the non-demonstration at Vandenberg, and I'm just getting back to functioning. But please send me your suggestions. Diane, what did you think?
So the questions weren't answered. That was one thing. I would have liked them to be answered.
Okay.
There were some technical difficulties.
Okay, I knew that, yeah.
You knew that, everybody knew that. But other than that, it was good. The presenters were great.
Yes, we have not started editing it. I think we can improve it with editing.
Oh, yeah.
Good. I think good editing would make it much better.
Because the presenters were so good. Yeah.
And we're very good. So with some editing, and if it's okay with you, I would like to ask, once the Dan Ellsberg week furor calms down, to have the Defuse Nuclear War people help me edit it and add a little bit more of Dan's material and make it part of the, because this is, it's Dan Ellsberg's position. I've never actually taken this position before of opposing just the land-based, because it always seemed to me that that tacitly approved the other two legs of the nuclear triad. But I'm starting to understand, there's two arguments for it, and I know, Alan, you understand this. We're not endorsing the other two legs by selecting the ICBMs for specific criticism, but I respect Dan Ellsberg, and he takes his approach as a way to get into it. The other thing is, I think people can understand ICBMs, so it's an entry when you're talking to city councils. And this thing is just pure pork. The military doesn't even want these things, the Sentinel, to replace it. So I think it gives us a good illustration of the military-industrial complex for people that are new to it, not just talking to each other. So I'm uneasy about it because it seems to select one leg to oppose. So cautiously moving on, I will not try to go to Vandenberg again. That I'm too old and too far. If I'm trying to organize people closer to the base. And if I do a good job and it's important, they'll see it and they'll take it up. If I don't, they won't. That's it. But I can't get there at my age from here. It nearly killed me to try. Wow. They changed the, it was no joke.
They changed the date. Right. So McGregor did send 2 emails to the discussion list in the last hour where you can read some more. The point is that the 15th of April event was deliberately recorded, so it could be then shown in its entirety as a standalone video to inform the public and whoever we can get to watch it. So that's why cutting it down a little bit, editing it a little bit, making it presentable to the general public is kind of the end goal, right?
And I want your, well, we'll talk, I want your permission to work with Norman Solomon and the Roots Action up in Oakland on co-producing this into a package, because then they'll put it on their website as one of, it's really a lot about Dan. Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
So WILPF and Diffuse. Okay, thank you.
But do it soon, do it soon. I want to see it.
So Robin, you skipped the first item, which was on the continue to press for design, which was what did you all do for the Daniel Ellsberg week, which just finished. Okay, so McGregor did her part. She started early on the 15th. And I would just like to say that there was a resolution. Last time I pointed you to the resource page on the week. There was a resolution that you were asked to send to your city council. Now I got behind. So what I did instead was I attended my city council last Monday by Zoom, and I read out the resolution and said, I would like to bring this to your attention. I'm not asking you to pass it because it's too late to get on your agenda, but I did read it into the public record, and I did send the wording to the city council by email. So that's one thing you can always do. If it's too late, to actually get it onto the agenda of your council, you can stand up and read the damn resolution, you know, and so that's what I did. So what else? Does anybody else manage to do anything this week that ends today?
Anything for Daniel Ellsberg?
Pam's got a hand up.
Pam?
Yeah, we were out in a corner in Milwaukee in the pouring rain, and we had big signs that said, we honor Daniel Ellsberg, and then also how he supports Julian Assange. And then we had a nice picture. I don't know what happened to the picture yet, but I will probably send it in to diffuse nuclear war. So that's what we did.
Okay, my report is I bought a whistle and I blew it at my city council, and I said, in honor of whistleblowers. And I introduced I didn't read the whole document, and unfortunately, my point person has not really followed through with it. So at least everyone is aware that this was Daniel Ellsberg week. Anyone else a report on what you might have done for Daniel Ellsberg? I mean, he had there was a webinar on the Friday before, and he was not able to make it. He was sick or feeling poorly, or his voice. So, you know, we don't know how long he'll be with us. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So what kind of, sorry, I put my hand up, so I'm just going to burst in here. What kind of collection of the information is being done and hopefully passed on to him and his family?
Diffuse nuclear.
I'm going to guess that Norman Solomon
Yeah.
is going to prepare some report, and because it's already showing some of the things that were done as showing on the Diffuse Nuclear War website. So we can depend on Norman to show Daniel, you know, that a lot of people are thinking about him.
Right. Good. Thank you.
Good. Any other comments on Daniel Ellsberg?
We received a very nice message from Joseph Camilleri. He was on the original program where Ellsberg couldn't speak, but he finished it up, and he's going ahead with the work and in the spirit. So that was nice to share with everyone.
What is his name?
Joseph Camilleri.
Oh, okay. I thought it was someone named Mina Zena Meenan. Well, anyway, who replaced Daniel for that show, but I don't have his name clearly. Okay, any other comments on that? And we can move on to McGregor. Are you going to talk some more about the ICBM missile launch, or?
I think she's done.
I'm done. I'm not going again.
Okay, but I mean, I just want a little more about that, because you told all of us about it, and I was so hopeful that something would really happen. But of course, the other side of the country,
No,
there was no people who turned up, or is that what you're saying?
well, we tried. The time and date were changed 3 times.
So they brought it forwards before they were intending to be there. So the military.
This is not unusual for them to change the launch windows at the last minute. It's one of the things that made it difficult in the old days, even when we had 3 months notice. Now with only a week's or 3 days notice, it varies. With a shorter notice, it's even harder. But you have to watch the launch times carefully. You can't go by the news, because the news are printing the previous one. You have to go to the base. And you have to be experienced, determined, brave, stay warm, get there, be self-determined, and not be dependent or complain. I can't charter a bus for people this time. I can't do it. What I'm going to do is keep educating people, because I think it's important. And if I do a good job, the people in Santa Barbara, Oxnard, Santa Maria, even Los Angeles is closer than me. We should be able to if we do a good education job, we should get people younger, stronger, and closer.
And Santa Barbara is headquarters of Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, isn't it? Santa
Yes,
Barbara.
I know them very well. I'm going to see them on May 25th. Yes.
And so they ought to have a bunch of people who would go. Martha, you have your hand up.
I just wanted to make an observation that a lot of people that were in meetings that I was at, when I spoke a little bit about it, they were surprised that there are even test launches. They hadn't heard of it. Some people, there are a lot of people from that area who did know about it and wanted to find out more, but it was short notice. So I think there are going to be people around that learned a lot from McGregor, and it's going to alert them to things in the future. I think it was, even though it sounds like there was too much for you, I think there a lot happened there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you a lot for letting us know about this. Okay, then Cheryl,
Yes.
watch Nuclear Stories.
Right. So there is in Europe a very active and very well organized youth group who are working with people like Unfold Zero and Abolition 2000. And they have actually, and I've given you the link there, they've had some cartoons made. They're calling them Nuclear Stories. So they are moving cartoons, right? Which tell particular stories. And they premiered them back on the 26th of April, which was Chernobyl Disaster Remembrance Day. Okay. There were three they showed. The one that I found really told me things I didn't know was about the Marshall Islands people. So I had not appreciated that there were 146 people evacuated from Bikini, okay, because Bikini was where they were going to set off bombs. And there was only 146 people who were living there. And they got moved like 5 times in the next year or so, because they put them on an island that turned out to be uninhabitable. And then they moved them to another island. And these people really suffered, even more than I knew they'd suffered. And so I recommend that you go to that website that I put in the agenda, and there's a recording, I think, of their whole, or you can actually find the stories. They've not premiered them yet. This was a pre-premiere. But we always complain about the lack of youth in our side of the Atlantic. But believe me, there are youthful people doing excellent work in Europe, and we should pay attention to what they're doing. And they're being helped by Alan Ware, who we know very well, who is now the director of the Basel Peace Office. So that's really all I wanted to say. And I've given you the website there. Mm-hmm. Eileen?
Yeah, I had a hard time getting a story out. All I got was a short description. How did you manage to get a story?
Well, I actually watched the event in live. Okay, they actually, it was happening. It was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock in the day here, and so I watched it, and I registered. So maybe were there not links to little stories, cartoons with videos?
Well, there were cartoons, and when I clicked on them, I just got little paragraphs. I mean, really, like 2 or 3 sentences, okay. Nothing of substance, and I was disappointed.
Right. So maybe they've decided not to show them yet, as it's really not been premiered yet. Okay. If I get a post thing, usually if you've attended, you get a link to the recording. I will let you all know.
Right. Thanks.
And maybe somebody else could try and see if it was just Eileen who suffered. Okay. So I'm also the next person, right? All these different congressional resolutions and bills. Okay. HRES 77, I told you about that. And you were all supposed to call your congressperson on the 19th of April. But of course, you can still call them. And while you're calling them, there's these now 2 other, which are actually bills, not resolutions, 669 and 2894, which have come up. One's really recent, one was actually January. restricting the first use of nuclear weapons act, okay? And then the other one, which actually applies to autonomous weapons systems, okay? To prohibit the use of federal funds to launch a nuclear weapon using an autonomous weapons system that is not subject to meaningful human control and for other purposes. And so, you know, these have been introduced by our friends in the House, in the Senate, representatives who have always been on our side. And now, as usual, we need to get more co-sponsors and to bring them to the attention of your senators, the Senate versions, and your Congress people. So that is, you know, the best thing we can do about these bills, which are mostly, again, they'll never get voted on, but at least they're bringing to the attention of the 450 Congress people, some of whom you really don't think anything about. It's not in their purview, nuclear weapons, and so they're surprised when they hear some of this stuff. Okay.
What was the second bill?
It's in the
There
minutes.
is 669 and 2894.
Okay.
And if you follow those links in the agenda, they're hyperlinked. It will take you to the official congressional website where they put all the bills that are open, and you can find the text, you can find the co-sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. So
Could I ask, do any of you on this call know whether your representatives have voted for any or are supporters of this resolution? Because I feel a heavy weight on this, because my former representative, Peter Welch, did support it, but now he's a senator, and he's been replaced by the only our first woman in the House. Vermont only has one representative, and she's a first woman, and she's a lesbian, and so she's unique and has been much feted for having won. But and I've talked to her a bit about this, but I have to really get a campaign going, because hopefully she will follow in the footsteps of her former person who held the position she had. They're all so-called liberal Democrats. Any other feedback from your states on whether your representatives are going to come through on this?
there is a list of sponsors on those websites, and so there's like 5 or 6. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
But if you do see your representative's name there, of course, do write to them and thank them. You should always do that if you see that they have already co-sponsored a bill that we're interested in. So can we go to the next thing? This
Yes,
webinar
okay.
on the 7th of May,
Yes.
Warheads to Windmills. This is being organized by Nuclear Ban Action, and we're one of the co-sponsors. And this is Tim and Wallace and Vicky Elson's efforts to put together this quite lengthy webinar with a very good set of speakers. And there in the agenda is the registration. It's 1 p.m. on Saturday here where I am. I will that day be in England, but it'll be like 9 o'clock at night. So I'm hoping to attend from England. Okay. Zoom, you can attend anywhere. And they're actually connecting the climate crisis with nuclear weapons. Okay.
May
This
7th
is
a Sunday.
Pardon?
May 7th is a Sunday.
Yes, it's a Sunday.
Pardon me. It is a Sunday. Nevertheless, I will be attending. Sorry. I'll be attending from my friend's house in Tring, as it's called. Ellen,
And I just wanted to say that the first time I tried to register, it didn't seem to have an effect. So if you don't get, positive response about having been registered, try again, because it worked the second time, as far as I know. Thanks.
You know,
Okay.
I really respect this group. For one thing, it's like 3 hours south of me, and I'm hoping to invite them up to our gathering in August. But they are the main group, and tell me if I'm right, Ellen, that supports Eleanor Holmes Norton's bill with full energy, and we need to support them as
Appreciate
much
them,
as
yes.
possible. Appreciate them, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Which brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is Ellen, is that Norton has actually introduced her bill, and Ellen's going to tell us a bit more about it.
Well, this version of the bill is different because, one, it's got 5 original co-sponsors along with Eleanor Holmes Norton. This is the first time that's happened. And secondly, the language has changed a little bit, and it's trying to reach out to people who are concerned about climate change. It's always been about that, but it's clearer that it's about that now. And so the other thing that makes it different is Timon Wallace is amazing. Timon and
Vicky.
Vicky are just, they're just phenomenal. And this is being sponsored by Massachusetts Peace Action, the May 7th call. And Massachusetts Peace Action has a good reputation for having really good Zoom webinars, and they're going to get some attention. People are going to.
Ellen, we can't hear you.
You can't.
I can hear her.
I can hear her.
I could.
You're. I don't think Cheryl can hear anybody right now.
No, I can now. Maybe it's just my internet. Sorry, I'm unstable here.
Yeah, I just
No
had,
fun.
I just had to reboot because I was having the same problem. So you might have to reboot, Cheryl. Yeah.
Okay, so that's wonderful that it's been, and those 5 representatives were sort of grandfathered in. They are continuing to support this new version, I guess is what you're saying. And what I'm wondering, how about, are we going to hear anything about the boat? Where is the boat now?
Newark. No.
New York?
It
No.
just left Baltimore, right? Or Annapolis or someplace.
Yeah. And headed for Newark,
Newark, okay.
New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, the golden rule, Martha says, yes.
Okay, has anyone been on it recently?
Nope, but I'm gonna visit my brother in New Haven, Connecticut, and I hope to get on it in Hartford
Excellent.
in early June, but we'll see if that works out.
I'm going
Cool.
to try to figure out if I can get on it. I really want to. Great. Okay. Let's keep going then. And interacting with the media. We're finally up to Gloria. How are you doing, Gloria, with your rape stories?
Well, first I want to tell you about the thing in chat, because so far as well as I know, nobody from those grad students in journalism has responded. So here is a long post about a woman who is very influential, who can be written to at this address, which I give you. You can read her whole relevant biography. She's Brit, she's from England, and she's got a lot of high positions, but she's on both sides. She is supposed to be studying disarmament, but she's also, in defense analyses, things where perhaps some of the military industrial are also involved. And I think Cheryl would be the best judge of her positioning between war and peace. I just reproduced the whole thing so you can see. Write to her, tell her why the Vandenberg launches are important. This is a woman we can write to. Here's her address. And I would, because this is not the person that anybody's been writing to. Let her know WILPF exists. She probably doesn't even know we exist. And this is a woman who interacts at the level of that Center for Strategic and International Studies. And this is where they should know we exist and be aware that women are very, you know, I'm not going to go rattle on. I have other things to do, but it's all
That's-
there in the chat. Any
1
questions
minute.
on that one? No questions. Okay, I'm moving on then to the Community Advisory Board meeting of the KUAT or AZPM as the more blanket term here in Tucson. They have 5 or 6 a year Community Advisory Board or CAB meetings. I have gone to 3 now this year. And this one is very funny because now that I've started coming, first they did away with all comments. Now they have moved their meeting place. When I called the U of A woman who's the administrator to the CEO of our PBS station, she said, oh yes, you do have to register, but it's not going to meet where we have on our website. So now I'm in the process of trying to find out where it is meeting. This is the same PBS that is giving you Marie Antoinette as our Sunday night entertainment. So remember, they're really tuned in to the poor and to what people need. Marie Antoinette, I hope you've heard of her. Anyway, back to what I was saying.
2 minutes.
How sarcastic can you
Diane-
get, Gloria?
Diane is, I hope I'm saying your name, Diane Blah? Diane.
Blake.
Blake. Okay, we've been in
Blake.
touch.
I'm glad it's not blah, actually, Blay.
Okay, Blake, I don't want to get it wrong. Diane is right there quite near to DC, and she may be able to attend some of the PBS national board meetings. And I've given her some of the dates and back and forth and how many or when. It's all up to her what she can manage. Then finally, can I share screen? Can
You
I?
have 30, you have 1 minute left.
That's
Yes.
fine. I can do
You
this in a
can-
minute.
you can
You
share
should be able to see this pretty soon. This is my own cartoon. And I hope it's coming up because sometimes it takes a while.
It's coming.
Okay. Now, this is the more popular level version of a paper on one-sided rape narratives that we're giving at that conference in Brighton in England. Matthias Richard and I. I made this because I want people to see the symmetry, and I'm going to try to be able to.
Time's up.
Hard. Just a minute. Anyway, you know that poem, and if you don't, it's hard for me to relocate the text so that you can see the rest of the lines. It's tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eye can frame thy fearful symmetry? And this is the fearful symmetry. When you're on one side, you hear these stories. When you're on the other side, you hear those stories. Why do people not see through their governments? Because they only get, and we're documenting this back through 3 or 4 different wars. I'm done. You don't have to tee me.
Wow. That's fantastic. That's incredible. So where will your study be revealed?
Well, the formal one, and any of you can have it. It's really technical and it has a lot of, rhetoric and culture theory in it. I can send that to anybody. That's going to go out and it will be published at that conference. This is a popular level one that I don't know where it's going to go. We'd like to get the most, coverage, the best distribution for it. I'm done. I don't want to take anybody else's time. If you want to send me questions in chat, go ahead.
Great. Okay.
I'm
Suddenly,
rid of this. I'm trying to, here, stop share.
But you had other cartoons too, Gloria, didn't you, that you sent out? There was another cartoon I saw.
Oh, the one about Gary and the National Convention? Yeah, I can send that around if people want to see it.
Sure, I had a hard time reading it, or seeing it, but, okay.
This one, you mean?
No, the one that you sent out on email?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll send it again.
I would just like to say that you've got a typo and industrial needs an I.
Oh, I'll go back in and erase and fix. That's easy to fix.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember receiving that.
Which?
Any of your cartoons.
Well, you were out of town and I didn't want to, you get much more mail and you say you're getting a lot of mail. So I may not have included you.
8 minutes.
All right.
3 minutes over.
Are you going to respond, give us a response from UCLA student journalists?
I said at the beginning, none of them have responded.
Oh,
That's why I'm feeding you this new person to go at on this issue. And you
okay.
have her address, and you can save the chat down at the bottom. Hit the 3 dots and save chat, you know, and that will give you that address, or you can copy the address over in chat. Professor Heather Williams, da 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 da.
Okay.
But you don't have an email address for her, but we can probably
I
find one.
looked and I looked, and this was just now. I mean, maybe you could find it. I had trouble.
Okay.
I gave it 15
you.
minutes.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Gloria.
You're welcome.
Report on the drones, lethal autonomous weapons. Eileen, yes, please.
Yeah, I want to piggyback something that has already been talked about. It's about the bill, the 2894 HR bill, to prohibit the use of federal funds to launch a nuclear weapon using an autonomous weapon systems that is not subject to meaningful human control and for other purposes. I landed doing some research on the representative Lou. I believe he represents the Los Angeles area or part of it. Boy, he's got an impressive background, super bright as a legislator. He's a leader on environment, cybersecurity, civil liberties, government ethics, and veterans. You know, if he was born in this country, I would vote for him for president. But I believe he came here from Taiwan with his parents at age 2 or 3. I'm all for this guy. I do want to hear from you Californians if I'm in the right place on respecting this man who went to Stanford and is not only a lawyer but also a political science nerd.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm just hearing about him also recently.
What did you say, Joan?
I'm just hearing about him recently also.
How do you spell his name? L-I-U?
L-I-E-U, Ted W. Lieu. I think that's how you pronounce it. He is California's 36th congressional district, which I looked up and was around or in Los Angeles. I think I got a lot of words on this, but we don't have the time. I would very much want to promote or talk to other people about this bill, and I am going to do that at the next Earth gathering where I'm getting signatures. This will be part of the handout, and I wouldn't mind, putting this along with the promotion for the film that we're talking about, Oppenheimer. In some way, I'm trying to get a handout that could combine 2 things. But anyway, I want to get the message out in one way or another, and not just my usual thing. Hey, do you think we should really have autonomous weapons without human input, which is my usual approach? He's actually talking about it and with one of our most lethal weapons, if not the most lethal weapon we have in the world.
Is there a bill for that yet, or a number?
Yeah, it's HR 2894. It was mentioned earlier in one of the things that Cheryl was telling us to promote with our legislators. Well, I'm going to do that and more in this area.
Okay.
It's what section was that? Hold on, I can tell you, Robin, or Diane. It's in.
Yeah, no, I see it now.
There.
Okay, yeah, Cheryl, the HR Resolution 77. Look through that whole paragraph, and you'll find HR 2894. There is no Senate version written up quite yet, though.
4 minutes.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Great, okay. Well, thank you for that, keeping us aware of those drones. I won't call them a bad name right now.
Lethal autonomous weapons.
Yeah, okay. Next, it's the campaign Promote Peace via Treaties with Cheryl.
Yes, I will just say, that I did on Thursday go to a special luncheon for the Ploughshares Fund, who, on account of the fact that I gave them some money, you remember we did apply to them for money and never got any. And I did hear Rose Gottmiller speak again. She was the Secretary General of NATO, who helped to actually negotiate the New START treaty 10 years ago. And she was asked, well, what about the treaties and arms control? And she's a believer in the use of nuclear weapons as deterrence. And one could argue with her on that. So just there are people out there worried about the fact that New START, that Russia has said it's not going to abide by some of its articles, and we need it to be renegotiated. And so we have to get State Department to really worry about that. But the war in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine, of course, is preventing much work on that. So that's all I'll say about treaties. Thank you. And go on to Nancy now.
Thank you. Okay, Nancy, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Good.
So I'm just going to be giving a few dates and describe the events. There's much more material. So Cheryl, I'll send it to you and you could put it in the agenda. I'm sorry, I don't have a page to share at the moment. The first event coming up is June 10 to 11. It's the International Summit for Peace in Ukraine in Vienna, Austria. There's a great deal of information up on the International Peace Bureau website that tells you how you can attend either in person or virtually. It gives you the registration link and the tentative program. It's quite exciting, lots of speakers. There's plans then to march to or walk to all the embassies of the NATO countries in Vienna, and then do the same in in Europe, and the European Union countries march to the embassies and I think hand in statements, etc. There's a very good statement on the International Peace Bureau website as well. So that's June 10 and 11.
Are you talking about No to NATO or Earth? What is this?
I will in a minute. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You were telling us about Earth democracy then.
Yeah, but I wanted to announce this international summit for peace in Ukraine because no matter what, you could say it covers those topics as well in regard to the impact of war and conflict on the environment. So I just wanted to mention that to give you hope. And you should go to the website when you get the materials, the agenda from, or the report from Cheryl to see the tentative agenda, speakers, etc. Then on July 7 to 8 to 9, excuse me, a new group that has sort of come together titled Global Women for Peace United Against NATO, which will be having events and actions July 6 to 9 or 10, dates to be determined, with a delivery of a statement to the members of the European Union Parliament, and then also to the NATO headquarters, which is in Brussels. This NATO summit, of course, which comes up in July 10 and 11 is in Vilnius, Lithuania, which is a very difficult place probably as we're beginning to ascertain to hold any kind of march or rally. So it's just as well to be in Brussels at the NATO summit headquarters, the NATO headquarters. Then on July 8 to 9 is the 24-hour peace wave put together by the International Peace Bureau and World Beyond War. It's 24 hours with 2-hour segments, so 12 2-hour segments, where groups can register and describe what their event will be in that place where they're organizing. So I think this is a month, as you see, in June, leading into the first and early second week of July, where there's a lot of peace events, no to NATO events, and should be quite exciting. And then, of course, leading into early August with Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So I'll send you these details, Cheryl, and you could put them in a report for this meeting. As far as Earth Democracy, we're still focused on PFAS. We're developing text for the new website for that's going to be released at some point in the future. So, and we now have 4 branches that are going to be putting on the branch education, PFAS education project materials with Marguerite Edelman and her video presentation. So thanks very much.
Wow. All right, thank you for all of that. It seems to me Odile is not with us. Does anyone else want to report for her from the Middle East Peace and Justice Action Issue Committee?
Well, there's an update from Yemen. I follow Yemen very closely. Things are improving. They had a very big prisoner exchange. Ever since China helped restore relations, they still haven't lifted the blockade that's starving people, but progress is being made. So there's so much bad news. I thought I'd give you the Yemen good news. Things are making a little progress.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Okay, Martha, report from last week's Alliance for Nuclear Accountability. You know, I attended that several times, and it's a very intense and meaningful effort in Washington, D.C. to actually reach our Congress people. So who will be reporting on that? Pam?
Pam.
Yes.
Well, we could both do it. Do you want to say anything, Martha? I'll go over our asks. We had recommendations. One was Biden's nuclear posture review, and his 24 budget did not include the sea launch cruise missile. And so this has been taken out, and so we've gotten really good. We've lobbied on this before and got very good response since Biden took it out. And that was a good introduction, because the next thing we're asking for is a lot harder. The new warhead, the W87-1, where the Sentinel IBM should be terminated. And also, if we can't even get it terminated, which the mood in Washington was not to terminate any nuclear weapon with anybody we visited. Or it could be rescoped to use available, some of those 15,000 plutonium bomb core pits that are in Pantex. And and I know that you were talking about Daniel Ellsberg focusing on this, and it honestly is really important, because that was one of our major issues, is the plutonium. It's like, we don't know, I can't tell you, it's everything's circular. We have to have an enemy, so we have a war with Russia, because we have to spend this money on nuclear weapons, because we need to use up this plutonium, because, you know, and because the politics are of spending more money on weapons to get jobs in the congressional districts. And everyone says, no, I'm not going to cut any funding for any jobs in our district, no matter what it is. So it was very, very discouraging in that.
Your representative said that?
All of them said basically that. There was no one who, all right, there were a few, there was we did have a little bit of luck with, I didn't talk to Mark Pocan's office, but he's good. But also John Garamendi and Ro Khanna from California are going to reintroduce their ICBM Act, the Investing in Cures Before Missiles. So we're trying to get them together to reintroduce that, taking away. And also, our Physicians for Social Responsibility in Wisconsin has a personal meeting with Mark Pocan on Tuesday. And so I was talking to them, and they are going to ask him to get in and help sponsor this. Honestly, it's so important, those plutonium bomb cores, they're going to manufacture new ones, and they have 126 novel designs. I know this because I work part of the time for Tri-Valley Cares in Livermore. And these are they're untested. And so we're worried they're going to be reopening the Nevada nuclear test site for testing. And they're building this so there's this building in South Carolina, Lindsey Graham's area, where he's got billions and billions and billions of dollars invested in this huge, hundreds of square miles nuclear weapons complex. So this mixed oxide fuel plant, which was a big scheme from the nuclear power companies to recycle some of this plutonium out of the spent fuel. Well, it never worked. They spent $7 billion on it. The building didn't work. And now they're going to repurpose it to build the plutonium bomb cores. And the price tag will be $20 billion. And that is the most expensive building in the United States, second most expensive building in the world, besides the mosque at Mecca. So it's, I could go on and on, but I think you get the point of why this is so crucial.
Wow.
And I don't want to keep talking. Do you want to talk about the cleanup at all, Martha?
I don't have much to say other than that there were several young people there, several people that this is the first time ever that they've actually gone to like a conference like this and started training to lobby legislators. So it was pretty exciting. And the way, probably a lot of you know this already, but they're divided up into a peace pod and a green pod. And the peace pod is a group of really well-educated, good teachers about nuclear weapons. And then the green pod is similar, a group of people that's really expert at the waste stream of nuclear weapons. So they had everyone go to one, and then you could attend the next one as well. So it was just a massive learning experience for all of us there. It was really well done.
Okay, there's some questions. Eileen has her hand up. And then Ellen.
Yeah, any chance that McGovern from Massachusetts was interested in any of this?
I'm thinking that he would reintroduce his Investing in Cures Before Missile Act too. I'm not really sure. He just didn't get people to sign on. So it's very difficult, but hopefully, because that's the Senate version. There's a Senate and a House version. And about the nuclear waste, they've really cut the funding because they haven't increased anything for inflation. And actually at Livermore, they cut it 10%, but they'll probably get it put back in and then say, look, we got it put back in. But anyway, so what we're basically trying to stop is this consolidated interim storage, where they want to bring the waste to the borderland of New Mexico and Texas. And most of those states have voted against it, just like Nevada voted against Yucca Mountain. And I thought Yucca Mountain was closed, but it is still the law, but I don't think they can ever really do it. I mean, it's not feasible geologically or politically. But anyway, nobody wants to take this waste. And so we're fighting with the people of New Mexico and Texas because it's in poor Latino and Native American communities.
Yeah, okay.
And working
Go
for,
ahead.
and working for on-site storage, hardened on-site storage. I just wanted to, I put the list of the co-sponsors for Norton's bill in the chat. And Jim McGovern and Mark Polkan and Raul Grijalva from Arizona, Ilan Omar from Minnesota, and Rashida Tlaib from Michigan are all original co-sponsors for the bill. And what original means is that they joined with her when she introduced it, which nobody has ever done before. And I would hope that when you meet with Mark Pocan, that you will, and anybody who meets also with any of the others, that you will thank them right up front, thank them for co-sponsoring the Nuclear Weapons Abolition and Conversion Act, because they really need to get positive reinforcement for having the courage to do that when everybody else doesn't. Thank you.
I will do that.
I will do that.
I will too.
I'll send them a thank you note with a stamp.
And ask McGregor and who, if there's anybody else here that's in touch with Barbara Lee. I know she's running for Feinstein's office, and maybe she doesn't want to put herself out, but she's co-sponsored Norton's bill several times. And so if somebody would get in touch with her and ask her if she'll co-sponsor it again, that would be great. And if she makes it into the Senate, then hopefully she will be the one who introduces it.
Yeah, okay. Cheryl, how about, what do you want to say?
Yes, just to say, at my physics meeting in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago, we had 5 sessions and 3 of them dealt with nuclear weapons from various points of view, from the arms control point of view, from the waste management points of view, from the testing in the Marshall Islands and the French testing that was done. So all those sessions with very interesting and expert speakers, and they were all recorded, and I'm going to get them onto a website where you all can watch them. Normally you have to have paid registration, $400, $500 to attend the meeting and get to these videos, but I will, because they're of interest to the general public, we're going to get my American Physical Society to actually put them on their website, their APS YouTube, so you can watch them and hear from people who really deal with this every day. The waste is an enormous problem. Storing stuff on site seems to be the way we're going, but it's not clear that actually will mechanically and physically be a good idea.
That's true. They're running into roadblocks with trying to figure out how to vitrify the waste. And plus, it's not always fair. Like, one of the places is upstream from the Seneca Reservation where a friend of mine lives, and she's very concerned about the waste staying on site. So what is going to happen to it?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is, but I can tell you there are a lot of people out there, the Department of Energy and a lot of other people worrying about this.
Mm-hmm.
So
while we're creating more waste. So
in the meantime, yes. So it really is a big deal. And then there was a person who talked about these small modular nuclear reactors that they're trying to promote now. And so again, these are nuclear engineers, mechanical engineers who understand these things, who again say it's probably not going to fill the gap. Everybody's worried about the gap between turning off the fossil fuels and then turning on enough renewables to generate enough electricity for all of us in the US. And people want to instead put these things they call small nuclear reactors, modular, and there are ways from actually being proven as well. So anyway, so a lot of interesting things that I learned in Minneapolis.
I want to announce that we're now at 90 minutes. Our goal is to get the entire meeting down to 90 minutes. We have failed again, so let's pick it up a little.
Okay,
Thank
Just a
you.
tad.
Thanks.
So,
we're getting
Just-
close.
yeah, just to say that we already did number 11. We talked
Good.
about Ukraine already, so there's no need to, I think we can go on to item 6.
Yes, committee support project reports. Now, I'm not quite sure what that consists of. It's just the treasurer's report?
And there's 2 other items there.
Oh, okay, all right. So Ellen, do you want to give us the skinny on that?
Yeah, hang on. McGregor has already had $300 approved and she's asking if she can use it for, yeah, McGregor, you want to,
I want to go to the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation lecture by Ivana Hughes, who, by the way, has just been appointed to the TPNW Scientific Advisory Board, Cheryl, which is very interesting. She's a chemist. Anyway, I'm going to hear her speech, the Kelly speech, make the connections with the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, which used to be very strong, meet a couple other peace activists down there and see what locally can happen, because they can do it, we can't, I can't. And if it's just to make connections, so it'll cost about the same as going to Vandenberg would, hotel, train fare, about the same.
Sounds like an excellent use of money. Thank you. Does everyone
Okay.
agree?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That Christian Charbonneau, is that how you pronounce it, is there, and he works with young people, and if you could recruit him, that would be great.
Yeah,
He
Shabana.
actually spends most of his time in New York.
Oh, does he? Okay.
He
Right,
sometimes
he works.
comes.
He actually is a representative for the Marshall Islands at the UN. So he was actually in the UN General Assembly when we were there last August, Christian.
Well, maybe there's
Okay.
some other young people there that.
Yeah. No, he has his hand on, he gets interns and things. So that's a good idea.
He's a
And
kind of burly guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember him now.
Yeah.
right, he's been in a lot of meetings that I and Eleanor, I haven't seen him lately.
Oh,
But
he's busy
generally-
at the UN, I guess.
Yeah.
That would keep you busy. So we still have 2,864.20. I did not go to A&A, so I didn't need to use any money, and I don't need any now.
Oh, Ellen, it's too bad you didn't get there. You've been
Well,
there.
I was asked to film this other thing, and I knew that there were going to be people there representing WILPF, and I've been to A&A many times, and this is local, and I don't get asked very often to do this for the anti-nuclear folks around here, so I felt like it was important that I do that.
Okay, well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, well, can we look on forward? Margot, I don't see Margot.
No, she's not come again, and I keep putting her on the agenda, and I think she's now lost her chance. 3 times she's not turned up.
Okay, but is anyone in touch with her personally? I mean,
I have seen her on a bylaws subcommittee
mhm.
meeting. Gloria, have you talked to
Yeah,
Margot?
she joined our Planet Zoom players, and she was at the rehearsal this morning.
Oh,
That's
Okay,
a-
so
an online science fiction theater group.
Mhm.
oh, wow.
So
Well,
she's
Can
not
you ask
unwell.
her, is she
Not
going
that I
to
know
come
of.
back to Disarm?
She was a little unwell, I think. She was getting
This
over
is-
something.
This is being recorded for the public, so we shouldn't talk about people's health.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you, McGregor, for reminding us. So anyway, I can ask her if she really wants to carry on with this ideas.
Mhm.
But can we go to number 3, which is actually relatively important?
Yes.
Okay, so there will be a WILPF US Congress next summer or early summer. in Minneapolis. The Minneapolis branch has offered to hold the Congress, and they believe their proposal has been accepted by the board. They're not sure if it'll be in Minneapolis or St. Paul, and it'll be either late May or early June. It'll be in person. And one of the next things that has to happen is a theme. Those of you who've been to, I've only ever been to one Congress, but my understanding is that our Congresses tend to have a theme that helps focus on some topic that then permeates the workshops and the discussions at the Congress. And we have heard from the Minneapolis branch people that water is a suggestion that they may be putting forward to the board. So I wanted to, but also each issue committee has been asked to think about, do they have an opinion on this? So here we are. I'm asking you, and it's a while yet, but I can ask you if you're interested. What else might we ask them to do? Ellen, you were waving.
I like the idea of water very much,
Mhm.
because I've just finished reading a new book by a woman who grew up at Rocky Flats. It's Half-Life of a Secret. Very, very, very important book. I recommend it to everybody. And it talks about what was done to the water in Elk Ridge, Tennessee, since the war. You know, what they used to process the uranium and the lithium and the various things that they needed. They used mercury, and they had a mercury spill, and it's big disaster. And these disasters have happened all over the country and all over the world. And so I think it's definitely related to Disarm, you know, because it ties into take the money from the weapons and put it into climate change and cleaning up the mess. So that's my vote.
Mhm, mhm. Okay.
Repeat the name of the book.
Put it in the chat. Put
I
the name
will.
in the chat.
I will.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Right.
Half-Life of a Secret.
Yeah, water is a very broad possibilities within the umbrella of water. I agree. Any other thoughts? I don't think this is our last chance to say anything, but anybody else?
End the apocalypse. I
And
mean, water is just water. There's water everywhere and not a drop to drink. I mean, I don't know that I find it exciting. I should. I mean, of course, we all, do others feel the same way.
Well, probably it didn't grab me at first, Robin, but now that I hear more and think about it, it does seem as if it's important, but not something that we think about all the time, like you said.
Well, maybe there's some way to promote it or to verbalize it, present it, so it catches people's fancy.
Well, why don't you have a glass of water with things like this written on it? The FAS, radiation or plutonium or uranium written on the glass. And that's what we're drinking.
I think we're at the very preliminary stages of this whole process to generate the WILPF Congress, and I just that water without that I'm sure it will be expanded upon. So we shouldn't worry that we're not sure much about it at the moment. Somebody's asking Nancy if she has an opinion.
Oh, I think it'd be great to have water. And on the Earth Democracy website, we have a very nice young lady, maybe 8, 9 years old, drinking out of, a faucet with a glass And the question is, what's in your water? In any case, I think it's a very important subject because it covers a lot of topics that we really could cover, you know. Militarism and climate and water, the ocean peace zone, food, agriculture, public health. I mean, all sorts of things. I think it'd be great.
I'll chime in here if I may.
Yes, Philip,
I
go
believe that water will attract a younger set of people who weren't around for the Cuban Missile Crisis or for the bombing of Hiroshima. And I think it's more attractive to the younger set. And it cuts across many, many facets. It's a weapon of war. It's also, we've had problems with Flint, Michigan, Jackson, Mississippi, Toledo, Ohio. All these places have been, people of color and of limited means have been severely affected by pollution in the water. And so I think that it is something that it goes across the board from military effects to health effects. So I think it'd be really important.
And also there's the whole issue of commodification, privatization, and investment in water now, which is going to in the future make water extremely expensive. So there's just anyway, I think we could make a very good Congress out of it.
Yep.
Right. There's Pam has her hand raised.
Okay, I'll try to be quick because I put in the chat, Minnewaconee, water is life. That was what the people at Standing Rock were saying. They were there to protect the water.
Yeah.
The Line 3 fight up in northern Minnesota, that was about the water.
Right.
And here in Wisconsin, the Menominee tribe has been fighting a sulfide mine, and we're called water protectors, the people that work on that.
Right.
And on and on. And so this will, we can get Native American people involved in our movement.
That's what they're planning to do. They've got very good connections with tribes. And so I think it could be very exciting.
How about adding water and oil? Do they mix or they don't mix, or some sort of title that combines water and oil? Because I think that could deepen the issue, deepen the subject or whatever.
I think we
Yeah.
I think we will expect there will be workshops that will happen at the Congress. And I already told the people, the branch there, that they should expect that Disarm will want to hold some workshops, and we will need breakout rooms because they are, pondering on the facility, the building they will actually hire to hold it. So we will be able to make our own connections with water. And I understand, Robin, the oil issue that has what so many wars have been basically about, is the oil in the ground and our companies trying to get their hands on it. Didn't Bush say that we owned the oil in Iraq or something? So yes, even if it's not listed in the theme, we will be able to bring our own views.
Well, let me say this to Robin. The aspect of fracking in water is interrelated, and it has poisoned the water table in many areas where fracking is done to extract oil. So it's interconnected, and it's basically, one big mess.
It sure is.
I would love to go to Minneapolis myself. I've never been there. Maybe it could be a trip. So anyone else on that? I mean, this is a long time discussion, or at least we'll have it.
Well, I will be attending probably some meetings where the program committee issue chairs will be asked about this, and so I think I can very nicely say that Disarm agrees with the theme of water.
Yep.
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 So I might just add that about 10 years ago, that branch had a show of art, which they commissioned artists to do pictures on the theme of water. And they had a curated show. I don't remember where it was. Might have been at the Minneapolis Museum. But in any case, it was a terrific exhibition. And I was able to get a friend of mine who's an art, very important and very well, highly respected art critic to come from New York City. And she reviewed the show and juried the show, and that got lots of local press. So I think they're thinking about having that kind of juried exhibition on theme of water again.
Okay.
Oh, good. All right. Well, I think we're nearing our deadline here. McGregor, we're only 15 minutes over, I guess.
We've been much worse.
Oh, yeah.
So the next meeting is the last item that I have written down here.
Yes.
Okay. So let me explain. On the 14th of May, that is the day I will be on a riverboat cruise celebrating my birthday, 8 hours ahead of you. Anyway, the 14th of May, I will be in England. Ellen will be in Florida visiting her relatives there. And so Ellen and I would like to suggest that we miss having a meeting on the 14th of May, unless there's somebody else who wants to take up creating an agenda and doing the minutes and facilitating the event.
Well, it's
I
also Mother's Day. So
Pardon?
it's also Mother's Day.
Oh,
Mother's Day. Yeah.
Okay, because I was looking at the holiday weekend of Memorial Day, but Mother's Day on that date is more, even more conducive or problem. Yeah. So
Do
the
not-
28th of
not-
May is a holiday weekend, but it's not Mother's Day. Woo.
So
May 20,
okay.
May
So
20th sounds good to me.
no. So we would just miss, right? Remember, our meetings are the second Sunday and last Sunday of every month. All right. So that's why the 14th would have been a meeting. And that's why the 28th would be the next meeting if we missed the 14th.
okay.
So,
With me.
and
Everyone
know-
in agreement there? Anyone having a problem with that? Yet.
so obviously you have the discussion email list, you have the committee email list. I'm hoping that you're always reading those emails that we send out, that you're following when we ask you to sign a petition, that you sign it, and so on and so forth. And what McGregor found this morning is what I've always suffered from it. When I send an email to our disarm.committee, I don't get a copy of it. I don't understand why. Somehow my settings in that electric embers. So, I used to worry, well, did it actually go out? So what I do is I BCC myself so I can see that really that email has gone out. So if the rest of you have worried about that, let me tell you, don't worry. It does work if you're on the list. It'll tell you if you can't, if you're not on the list, you'll get an error message. So, those lists are for our communications and to keep projects going during the interim between meetings. And then just to mention again that I did send you that third attachment, which was the list of our campaigns that we agreed to some time ago. There are 11 items on that list. I just gave you the titles, and at some point we need to go back and in the past people agreed to be the leaders of the campaigns and other people said they would join those campaigns, and I think it's worth us revisiting them and seeing if we just want to drop them because nobody's actually working on them, and or if other people want to become leaders of some of their campaigns and other people want to rest. So that was one reason I sent you that.
We can do that through email too. We don't have to take up part of the 90 minutes on that, but.
Right, we could
express
start
their
a
opinion.
conversation.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion to save time. I suggest when people are making reports that you write it up before the meeting and send it. It's easier for the person taking notes later. And that way you're sure that what you're reporting on is reported correctly. And then if we're pressed for time, people can just read it,
And
like the really important stuff.
And
What?
if your computer breaks down and you can't can't do it.
Right. Well, I like the idea, McGregor. I'm not convinced that people will actually be able to
Yeah.
do that, but that's why we record these. Diane's very good. Diane, who agreed to do the notes for us, will go back and listen to the recording and try to capture what we said. And so that's one reason we record these, and that recording stays up for a couple of weeks until Ellen needs the space for some other meeting that she's
Well, I
recording.
record the Disarm committee calls to YouTube.
And then it goes to YouTube.
And
Okay.
so it's
Never disappears.
It's not public. It's unlisted, but
Unlisted, right.
there.
But it is a great suggestion, McGregor. If
Yeah.
whoever can do it, it would really be good.
Right.
Well, I usually do it unless I'm really, really short. And because I've been in Diane's shoes.
I have to say that on the 28th, which will be the next meeting, I suppose. I arrive. I'm due to arrive about an hour away from home at 7:10 p.m. So I won't be able. I'll try to get on the computer as soon as I land so that I can make somebody else the host and I can start the YouTube from my laptop, and maybe I'll be able to do that. But otherwise, I'm going to be coming in late. So
Well, how about May 21st instead?
no, I'm out of town from the 13th
Okay.
to the 28th.
So, but is it not true that link that you sent us works? You don't
It
actually
works
have
for
to.
anybody to use it, but I can't. But you can't record it unless I make you a host or a co-host.
And you can't do that until the meeting has started? You can't do that before the
I haven't
meeting?
figured out how. No.
Does anybody else know?
Huh? I don't know. Darian seems to think there's a way to do it, and it would be great if I can figure it out. I'll add it to my list of things to do.
Okay, yeah, I see Eileen has another comment.
No, not a comment, just a quick question. Diane, I think you were working on having an interim Congress this summer. Is that still in the workings, and when is it?
It's August 16th and 17th, I think, were the dates we picked. The board has not approved it. I submitted it to the board today with the dates and how do we plan it. So it's going to be, I thought it was better to have it like a little bit after your affair. And then I was hoping you'd report on it about your WILF meeting. So it's going to be the week after you have yours. Yours is the 10th through the 14th. And so this will be a couple of days later. And they'll be in the evenings. And we'll send save the date as soon as the board approves it.
Thank you.
Well,
You know,
yeah.
the last Congress, the International Congress, was while we were having our Wing Farm gathering. And
I know, and I asked Robin about it, but we decided when we'd had the meeting for the gathering committee, that when you're in person, it's so nice just to be in person. And since this is going to be Zoom, it's, I think, anyway, we decided to do it the next week.
Okay.
Yeah, we couldn't find any good day to match it with Robin's affair, so we just went with the next week.
That should be okay.
It's
Yeah,
called an interim Congress. Okay, I had not. This is the first I've heard about this, but I presume we'll be being told about it.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be. It's going to be totally virtual, and it's not going to have all these workshops and things like that. It's just going to be some presentations. So it's going to be the board introducing themselves, staff introducing themselves, and then all the issue committee chairs and and certain select branches, reps from certain branches. And then there'll be Q&As and there'll be some breakouts with the issue committee chairs, hoping that we get more people to join the committees. So
Sounds like an
What
excellent
what are
idea.
the date? What's the date on this?
well, we haven't totally confirmed it, but the committee came up with the dates of August 16th and 17th.
Okay.
For Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah. So, yeah, Robin's thing ends on August 14th, which is a Monday. We figured we'd give them a day to relax, but it'll still be fresh in their minds when they report on it. So anyway,
And you
that's
said evenings, you said it's proposed
Yeah.
for the evenings.
yeah, just
Two evenings.
evenings. 2 evenings. Each should be 2 hours, a little less. Yeah, we want
It'll
to
be East Coast evening.
well, the evening it'd probably be 5 and 8, typical thing, I think.
Okay.
5 Pacific time, 8 Eastern. Uh-huh.
Good.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Okay, well,
Donna.
we'll look out for that. Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope anyway, everybody has to know, but we still have some months to go. So
Sure.
McGregor's on the time here, folks.
Any
It's-
other,
In the chat, she's
thoughts,
pointed out it's
comments?
been 2 hours. Woo!
Yeah,
Yeah.
not even Dempsey. That's what I say. Thanks, everybody.
All right. See you. in a
Goodbye,
month.
goodbye.
All right, save the chat, everybody, before you leave the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Keep an
Thank
eye on your
you.
email and we'll be in touch.
All right. Good.
Okay, thank you.
People have 3 dots. What the-
3 dots, the famous 3 dots.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Nice to
Ready?
see everybody and hear you.
Okay.